are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next, the June 8th meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Merit Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by going to www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 8th, 2022 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Merit Board. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Following that, if you'd please stand for a moment of silence for all the innocent children and people throughout our country who have lost their lives due to the senseless killing that's going on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For the record, let it be known that Mr. Schooley and Mr. Miller are not here. However, we still have three, so we have a quorum, so we will continue with the meeting. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from the May meeting? If so, are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Kimmel and fellow merit commissioners. It's good to have you here today. This first day of summer for some, especially some that are in our audience, and we have a really special guest here today that we'd like to start our meeting off with. We were notified late last week by the Indiana Sheriff's Association that they designated and have awarded a scholarship through the Sheriff's Association to one of the young people here in LaPorte County. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce McKenna McAuliffe and have her come forward. But she has been recognized by the Indiana Sheriff's Association as a recipient of one of their scholarships. This is very prestigious because this is open to all graduating seniors throughout the state of Indiana. And she was awarded, she was one of 40 awarded throughout the state of Indiana for this really important scholarship. So with that being said, I would like McKenna to come forward. And if she could come to the podium, and I would like her to introduce herself, and then I'll present her with her plaque.
Hi, I'm McKenna. I just graduated from LaPorte High School, and I'm going to IU Bloomington in the fall to study criminal justice and criminology.
And McKenna, you graduated from LaPorte High School.
Yes.
And she is a little shy and doesn't like to brag on herself, but her mother is here in the audience, Cheryl Braun, and we're really proud of you, Mom, and we're proud of you, McKenna, as well. I'm really pleased to present this certificate to you, but I'd like to brag on you a little bit because I know you won't brag on yourself. Well, McKenna is a straight A student that just graduated from LaPorte High School, top 10 in her class. And I'd also like to point out that she is going to IU Bloomington to study criminal justice, which is exactly what Major Patrick Cicero did as well. And hopefully she'll have the same career path that he had, in that she can go to the academy while she's a student at IU Bloomington. And hopefully, we've already talked to her this morning, Captain Allen and myself, we're already recruiting her, that she can, as part of her requirement to graduate, that she can do an internship here at the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, so we can return her to her mother for a summer, and she can get college credits while interning here and working with us, and hopefully we can further recruit her and entice her upon her graduation that she comes back here and applies to the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office. And the reason that I say that is not only do we need young, talented people in law enforcement, but we like it when young people get their education and they decide that they want to come back to their community and serve. Exactly. With that said, Deputy Jacob Payne and Deputy David Grimberg took the same path. They were recipients, too, of the Indiana Sheriff's Association scholarship. and they've come back here to their roots, and they're now serving in their communities as well. So we've told her that if there's anything that we can do to further her career, whatever it might be, that we ask her to reach out to us, and we'll provide her any resources and support that we can. But I can't tell you how proud I am and how pleased that we are to be able to recognize a young person for such great work. You're going to be a great ambassador for LaPorte County down at Indiana University, and we're beyond proud of you, McKenna. So I'd like to present you with this certificate. Congratulations, and best of luck to you. You're welcome. LaPorte Community Schools should be very proud of her, as should the city of LaPorte and LaPorte County.
Congratulations. And Mom, I think they've got an application at the front desk you can pick up on your way out for McKenna, okay?
We're also really pleased that we talked to McKenna about how she found out about this scholarship. Just another great success story of our school resource officer program, because Captain Allen, when we get this announcement in January or February of every year from the Sheriff's Association asking that we disseminate these applications throughout our schools, we give them to our SROs. No better resource than our school resource officers to do that. They got these to LaPorte Community Schools, and they were announced in a packet of scholarship opportunities, and that's how McKenna learned about this. And that's you can only be awarded a scholarship if you apply, and she applied. We're really happy about that. But also, I should note that every year when the Indiana Sheriff's Association does its annual affiliation membership drive, letters go out to residents of LaPorte County with the sheriff of each county's name on it, and I receive a number of telephone calls because people are skeptical. People want to know where their money goes, and this is a prime example of how individuals' money, their membership dues from LaPorte County, returns to LaPorte County, and it's invested in young people like McKenna. So the people that have invested in the Sheriff's Association are also investing in McKenna and her future, and we hope to have her return here someday.
Sheriff, just so I'm clear on this, this is not a scholarship that's open to family members of law enforcement. This is open to anyone?
This is open to anyone, and not to be confused with the Neil Thompson
Right.
Memorial Scholarship. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. With that said, we have a couple of pieces of business here that Mrs. Trojanowski has provided to us this morning. They're promotional approval request forms. The first one is for Deputy Justin Gorney. Whereas applicant Justin Gorney, a member of the department eligible for the promotion to the rank of probationary patrolman, except as noted in waiver request form G, if any attached, has been found to have made the highest grade in written examination, years of service grade, and service rating grade total as per reported on the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department eligibility list published by the Sheriff's Merit Board. In my opinion, he appears to have all the necessary attributes to properly discharge his duties in the rank sought. I hereby effectively request the approval of the board for his promotion to that rank effective May 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, sir. Hearing that, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you.
The next promotional approval request to the Sheriff's Merit Board, whereas applicant Matthew Disbrow, a member of the department eligible for promotion to the rank of probationary patrolman, except as noted in waiver request form G, if any attached, and found to have made the highest grade in written examination, years of service grade, and service rating grade total, as per reported on the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department eligibility list published by the Sheriff's Merit Board. In my opinion, he appears to have all the necessary attributes to properly discharge his duties in that rank sought. I hereby respectfully request the approval of the board for his promotion to that rank, effective May 23rd, 2022.
Thank you, sir. Hearing this, do I have a motion to approve? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passed.
In keeping with talking about scholarships this morning, I'd like to point out with Deputy Disbrow, of course, he has a legacy in that his father served on the sheriff's office and retired from here several years ago, but he is a recipient of the Neil Thompson Memorial Scholarship Award. So we're really pleased that he too has returned back to LaPorte County to serve the community in which he lives. The next is a promotional approval request. Whereas applicant Julian Sanchez, a member of the department, eligible for promotion to the rank of probationary patrolman, except as noted in waiver request form G, if any, attached has been found to have made the highest grade in written examination, years of service grade, and service rating grade total as per reported on the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department eligibility list published by the Sheriff's Merit Board. In my opinion, he appears to have all of the necessary attributes to properly discharge his duties in the rank sought. I hereby respectfully request the approval of the board for his promotion to that rank effective May 23rd, 2022.
Hearing such, do I have a motion to?
Hearing such, do I have a motion to approve? Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passed.
Okay, if you'll refer to the agenda, the first item that is on that agenda is our calls for service. You can see that they did decrease less than 1% from April to May. In April, we responded to 2,036 calls for service, while in May we responded to 2,022. We did have a 7% decrease in the number of crashes from April to May, from 74 to 69 in May. The number of traffic stops increased during that period by 21%, and our citations also increased by 31%. Our afternoon patrol shift saw a 1% increase in their call load from April to May, while the midnight shift had a 5% increase in call volume. The day shift, however, did have a 10% decrease in calls for service. So far this year, our department calls for service are down 21%, which is good news when compared to last year at this time, the time period between January 1st and May 31st. We responded to 11 calls for service at Franciscan Hospital in May, which is the same number of calls for service we responded to in April. As far as training is concerned, with our newer deputies, Deputy Nate Albanese is now in Phase 2. He moved to Phase 2 last week in field training, and he's assigned to the afternoon shift for this phase. He had been on the day shift during Phase 1. Last week, as I mentioned, he successfully completed Phase 1, and he is being exposed to a lot, and he is progressing. Deputy Gorney completed his administrative and introductory session of field training that takes place during the first week of field training. He's since been working during the day shift to complete his Indiana Law Enforcement Training Board mandated 80-hour refresher course. As you'll recall, he's doing this because he is a certified police officer and he was out of law enforcement for a short period of time. The good news with him, and what is really impressive, is the fact he completed his 80 hours in less than a week and a half. He finished yesterday his 80 hours, and that was because every day he was coming in early and he was staying a little late, and he was working through his breaks. In fact, I went in several times and told him, you need to go out and get some fresh air and take a break and get away from your virtual learning that you're doing. But he pressed through it. So he's really progressing, and he's progressing because he wants to progress. I'm really impressed with his work ethic. He's been doing this in the small conference room at the sheriff's office. After he completes this refresher course, he's going to be required to undergo physical tactics training and emergency vehicle operations training. He did already successfully complete firearms qualification, which he was also required to do, but he's already done with that. And these are requirements by the Indiana Law Enforcement Training Board. Once he completes these necessary training requirements, then he's going to transition into our field training. We hope that he'll be able to complete field training earlier than projected because of his previous experience and knowledge in law enforcement. What usually trips people up when they're already a certified officer and come to LaPorte County, where maybe they weren't born and raised, is location orientation portion of field training. But we'll see. He has a really good bearing with north, south, east, west, which is really important for a county police department. Deputy Disbrow and Sanchez started their week prior to Memorial Day, and they had a couple of days of orientation, and their uniform and equipment needs have been ordered, but they've yet to arrive. That's a little bit of bad news in that it was supply chain. It's very, very difficult to get the necessary supplies in law enforcement. We could be waiting months for some of their equipment to arrive. Obviously, when we hired them, we ordered right away, but there's just a backlog on receiving the equipment that they need. They're currently riding patrol, and they'll have training and exposure to the department until they leave for the Law Enforcement Academy, and that's scheduled to begin on August 8th. Deputy Alex Clemens and his canine partner Miko are in their final week of training at Von Lick Kennels in Peru. I got Purdue on my mind. The two are working very hard, and they continue to bond. Their graduation will take place Friday, this coming Friday. We're going to be pleased to get both of them back here. Next item is Captain Al Ott has assumed the role of Range Master, which oversees all range training and firearms-related matters. In addition, he manages the range schedule and its upkeep and maintenance, and he replaces recently retired Major Heath Haferkamp, who had been our Range Master before that. What really is tenuous for the Range Master is the range scheduling, because we have such a great range training facility. It seems like a lot of law enforcement agencies want to use it, and it's hard to keep that balancing act while doing the necessary maintenance. It just isn't safe to be doing the maintenance and upkeep while there are people on the line firing out there. So we have to take this time of year, especially with the way grass and weeds are growing, we have to take a couple of days a week just for routine maintenance and mowing of the grounds out there. So that is also a bit of a challenge. But we've got Jim Jackson that is in charge of the maintenance out there, and he is absolutely second to none. We're really lucky that we have Jim. It's like we were lucky when Bobby Blair was here, and he took care of it. Last month, we reported that we received one bid for police vehicles, and only one bid for one vehicle met the specifications that we had sent out. That bid was accepted, and it was for a Dodge Charger from LaPorte Chrysler Dodge. On May 23rd, the council approved an appropriation for the vehicle, and it has since been received as it was in the inventory at the dealership. So it wasn't a matter of having to order it and waiting for it to come in. We went out and we actually took possession of it, and the transaction's taken place. The vehicle that it's replacing is actually staying in county government inventory. It is going to be transitioned to the commissioners, and they can do with it as they see fit once we strip the equipment out of it. We will be seeking a funding amount at the county council meeting coming up here in June in case manufacturer orders open. 2 weeks ago, Chevrolet announced that they were taking law enforcement orders, and they closed the ability to order after only 3 days after that announcement. So it makes it difficult for law enforcement in government to place those orders, because we like to have the funding approval in place before we place the order. But with that said, we'll be asking the council to approve an amount not to exceed what we estimate it will cost for new vehicles, and that will be in place. So if and when Ford opens their orders, their acceptance of orders, we can contact Ford immediately and say, please, we'd like these 9 vehicles or these 11 vehicles manufactured. We'd like to buy them, knowing that the funding is going to be in place. Otherwise, we may lose out, and it may not be until next year when vehicles are available. There are a lot of law enforcement agencies throughout the country that are really scrambling. I know of a couple of nearby law enforcement agencies outside of the county that have a number of vehicles that are parked because they can't get parts, and the parts in some of those vehicles are proprietary, in double-digit numbers of vehicles that are parked and of no use because they're missing key components.
Sheriff, were there not some pickup trucks ordered also with that?
Yes. Well, we haven't ordered pickup trucks for 2022. As you recall, we ordered pickup trucks in 2021. We've been told that one of the 3 pickup trucks that we had ordered will be in within the next week. The other 2, we're not sure where they are.
Wow.
We think they're in the process of being manufactured, but we've not taken delivery of that one of the 3 yet. And again, those were ordered in the spring of last year.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Detective Dan Kessling announced that he accepted a job with the United States Secret Service, and his last day at the Sheriff's Office was on June 6th. We wish him the best of luck, and we hope that he stays safe. Because of Detective Kessling's resignation and a retirement from merit by Major Haferkamp, we have 2 positions available. We closed our application acceptance period on May 20th and received 5 applications. 2 of the applicants are current law enforcement officers, and therefore we are fast-tracking them. One of them has already been administered physical agility testing, which he has successfully passed. Chief Deputy Heeg completed and submitted a Bureau of Justice grant application for our body cameras. I know that was a lot of work, and I appreciate the work that he had put into that. The bill for this year's installment was $114,545, and it was due. We had no choice but to request funding from the County Council. The Council approved the request at the May meeting, and they've been told that if we do receive this Bureau of Justice grant, we'll merely reimburse the county's general fund with the money received from the Justice Department. We have no idea what our chances are with this grant. As you'll recall, we're in year 3 of a 5-year period to pay back the amount owed to Body Worn, which is the vendor that we went with for these body cameras. Captain Dallas Smythe and members of the Marine Patrol Unit placed marker buoys throughout Pine Lake in the month of May. The state of Indiana provided the buoys, but they didn't provide any weights, anchors, or cables to anchor them. We purchased the necessary supplies, and Captain Smythe and Sergeant Lanou made the weights using 5-gallon buckets and concrete and fashioned and affixed the cables, and then went out and placed them. In the fall, they'll have to go back out and, of course, remove those buoys from the lake. The Marine Patrol Unit began their patrols on Memorial Day weekend, and we've heard very positive feedback from lake residents and boaters about their presence. Their presence on the lakes certainly sets a tone. It slows people down. They're not operating nearly as recklessly. We had very few complaints as a result of their proactive patrols and their presence out there. The new rib boat has been very useful, and it works really well. And I'd like to thank Chief Mechanic Bob Parks for completing the graphics on the boat, installing the radio and emergency lighting and siren, and making it water ready. He worked really hard and diligently throughout the winter, a little bit here and a little bit there, to make sure that it was good to go in the month of May so they could get it out there with their assistance with placing the buoys and getting on the lake by Memorial Day weekend. We are busy planning for the upcoming Red Wine and Brew that's going to be held Friday, July 1st, as well as the fireworks and drone show that will be held the following night at their location, 500 West and the Summit. We've had a number of volunteers and deputies who we've reassigned to work the events, as we do every year, and Captain Derek Allen is our officer in charge for this event. Captain Dallas Smythe has been really busy organizing, planning, and scheduling for this year's LaPorte County Fair. He's had a number of meetings with the Fair Board. We did get our contract with the Fair Board approved by the County Commissioners. The fair is going to be held Saturday, July 9th through Saturday, July 16th. This is a really long week for our staff, and it's physically taxing for those that work it because they have their other responsibilities here at work as well. So oftentimes they're working 16 or even an 18-hour day, sometimes consecutively, sometimes the entire week, so that the fairgoers can be safe and it's orderly out there. Unfortunately, we've had a number of suicide and death investigations involving young people this year, and these deaths are certainly very traumatic, and it can take a psychological toll on our deputies and our staff. We've again enlisted the assistance of an outside psychological service provider who will come to LaPorte County. In fact, did come to LaPorte County yesterday to provide integrated psychological services, and they used a team and a group approach. On Tuesday afternoon yesterday, the provider conducted a group debrief for our deputies, EMS personnel, and fire personnel who attended the 2 most recent deaths of young persons. And we are really aware of the importance of psychological well-being of our deputies and staff, and we provide employee assistance through EAP, the professional service of a clinical psychologist, equine-based psychotherapy, and group sessions. Yesterday, I attended a Indiana Sheriff's regional meeting, and one of the topics of conversation among sheriffs was psychological support for our staff, and I'm really excited. Brought home information yesterday. I'm going to reach out to some psychological professionals about a new innovative way of treating post-traumatic stress disorder. It's something that it really appears to be in the forefront of treatment, not only for law enforcement and emergency services, but for military as well. It's a series of shots, and there are 2 shots. The first is 83% successful, and the second shot, coupled with the first, would be 16 or almost about 99% success rate. So we're looking into that Also in attendance at this meeting was State Representative Jim Pressel, State Representative Pat Boy, and Senator Mike Bahachek. And the legislators that were there were even talking to the presenter, who comes from a psychiatric professional office out of Chicago, potentially about a funding aspect for this. It's so exciting to hear about the results. So that's something that we're looking at as well. At some point, once I get some professional opinions from some psychological professionals from the area, we'll reach out to the commissioner's office and see what their take on it is as well. We have had a number of deputies who have sought out services, and they've sought out services that are most appropriate for them, and it is completely confidential. The Police Memorial, as you know, was held on Friday, May 13th at the Performing Arts Center of the former Elston High School. Our keynote speaker was United States Attorney for Northern District of Indiana, Clifford Johnson. During the annual memorial service, we honored and remembered the 15 officers who lost their lives in the line of duty in LaPorte County. I'd like to take this moment also to wish the best of luck to the student athletes in the communities of Union Mills, Wanata, and Hanna, whose children go to South Central, because they will be playing in the girls' state softball championship on Friday down at Purdue. They'll be taking on Tecumseh, and we wish them the best of luck. We hope that they bring a state championship home. I also want to give a plug to their coaching staff down there, because the head softball coach, as you know, is Tony Wallace, who recently retired from our Merit Commission and is now one of our process servers. And also Gary Biggs, who recently retired from our Merit Division and was a longtime SRO and is in charge of security for South Central Community Schools. So we wish those girls the best of luck. We also wish the South Central boys the best of luck as they participate and hopefully bring home a semi-state trophy from the LaPorte semi-state that'll be held here in Schreiber Field on Saturday morning as they take on Lafayette Central Catholic. And that's going to be a tough game, but they can do it. They've got a really good team this year, and we're going to be rooting them on. And the Sheriff's Office wishes our best of luck and best wishes to the South Central school community and those particular teams. Our next month meeting is Wednesday, July 13th at 9 a.m. And you'll see that the Warrants Division, Detective Bureau, and Jail month reports, and the jail monthly reports are attached. And one other thing that I'd like to talk about a little bit is our budget. As you can imagine, it is very difficult to maintain our budget with our current state of our economy. We just got notice this morning, the chief and I talked about it prior to coming to the meeting. We just got notice this morning from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy that effective on July 1st, tuition rates are increasing by 100%, and that's to combat the rising costs of maintaining the Law Enforcement Academy, their fuel costs, maintenance costs, and the cost of food. And we certainly are experiencing that here as well. The cost of fuel, as you know, is up dramatically. It's up for us as well. The cost of food is up. The cost of medical care that we provide is up. The cost of uniforms is up, if we can even get them. The cost of automobiles is up. So you'll see in June we're going back and asking the county council for additional appropriations to get us through the end of the year. But we're also going to have to ask for additional appropriations in overtime, because we've been so busy. We've had a number of the inmates in the jail that have been hospitalized. At one point, I think we had 4 in our jail that had significant underlying issues that had to be hospitalized. And each time we have to provide a couple of deputies per inmate, and we have no choice but to pay overtime. The cost of extraditing prisoners back here to LaPorte County is very expensive. It's the overall cost of running any entity, let alone law enforcement emergency services agency, is very, very expensive. So you'll see us on the agenda, and our council is always very supportive of us and understanding.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any comments from the floor? Any comments from the floor? Hearing none, comments from the floor are closed. Comments from the board, Ms. Mock?
None.
Wow. Just a heads up that I will be getting with Major Cicero probably within the next couple of weeks. I'd like to get a head start on the promotional classes. These are the ones that won't take place until 2023. but by our operational procedures, we have to announce that in advance so that the deputies that are wishing, merit officers that are wishing to go for the promotion have adequate time for scheduling vacations. Now, I know we ran into several situations this last time with vacations and had a couple people, a couple merit officers that declined the process because they had pre-approved vacations and had scheduled some rather expensive trips with their family. So I'm going to get with Major and see if we can't get this announced a little bit earlier, be a little bit more proactive on it, and hopefully give everybody an opportunity to get that scheduled so that they don't conflict with their families. Glad to hear that Deputy Clemens is doing well. I did speak with Captain Hahn. He's going through withdrawals, but I understand you're also current on your child support with the dog, so I'm glad to hear that. And I want to just put out some kudos to you, Sheriff, for being proactive with this traumatic incidences that our deputies go through with the death of the young people. And it's not just that, but they face some pretty traumatic things almost daily. And for you to make sure that they've got an opportunity to have psychiatric care for them at any time that they need it, all they have to do is request it, and it's taken care of. This says a lot for you and everybody else on the department to make sure that the men and women are taken care of. And I know that that's also available for the jailers. It's not just the road people. So it's critical. And I want to thank you for being proactive on that. I know you've had this in place for some time, but it never hurts to let the public know that you've gotten a head start on this, and it's always there for the men and women of the department. So thank you.
You're welcome. I want to point out, too, that yesterday this clinical psychiatrist that made this presentation pointed out that new research indicates that the average police officer in a 20-year span will experience 750 to 800 traumatic psychological events during their tours of duty, and that it does take a significant toll. And we in law enforcement nationwide and the psychiatric professionals have come a long way in recognizing that it is really important. And you've heard me say before, our physical health is really, really, really important. Hence the reason that we've got a state-of-the-art workout facility. Hence the reason that we have physical agility testing twice a year, and we award our employees who are able to meet the standards by giving them compensatory time back for them investing in themselves. It also helps to keep our workforce healthier, which saves money for our county and our taxpayers because there are less insurance claims as a result of that. But psychological wellness is just as important as our physical wellness. And we're going to do all we can to make sure that our staff is well.
Okay. Touching a little bit on the overtime that you mentioned is I believe part of this is due to the fact that we have several from the department that are in the reserve units that obviously we know that they have their summer drills, which are sometimes a month or 2 months. So I'm sure that has an impact on overtime as well.
It does. And while our supervision is really good at forecasting at the beginning of the year, an individual who has a military commitment, what their drill weekends are or when their obligations are, we have had some people that were deployed with very little notice. They didn't know that they were going to be deployed at the beginning of the year, and suddenly they got orders in which they're going to be deployed within a week and a half, or in a month. Sometimes they get notice that they're going to be deployed. We had one beginning of the year that was provided notice that he was going to be deployed for an entire year. And then about a month later, he got notice that, in fact, he wasn't going to be deployed. There is a little bit of a balance, but we do have to backfill those positions when it hasn't been accounted for previously in the schedule. We also had some people that were off earlier in the year because of COVID. We also have had some people that did have line of duty injuries, and they were off for prolonged periods of time, and we had to backfill for them. And we've also had significant incidents that have occurred where we've had ERT call-outs or scuba call-outs, crisis negotiators that were called out. Our FAC team was called out where we have to backfill those positions because they're being depleted, or when they're called off from off duty, we have to compensate them for coming in and providing their services.
Thank you for that information. That's all I have. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Meeting adjourned at 9:40 a.m. Thank you.